Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast right here on the Winner's Circle Sports Betting channel, sponsored by GamblersWorld.com. You know why I'm excited today? Because I get to speak to two of the best handicappers in the world, and two guys I'm proud to call my friends, Mr. Jesse Shule of JesseShule.com and the incomparable, the boisterous, the opinionated Mr. Sean Higgs of PicksandParleys.net. Jesse, I need words of wisdom from you this morning because things are not progressing very good in my brain right now. So I just want to hear some words of wisdom from you.
Well, I just had dinner, Ross. You know, we were grilling in the backyard with the recent results. Prime rib is off the menu, not in the budget at the moment. So we had to settle for burgers, but they were pretty good burgers. I mean, they were Wagyu burgers. So, I mean, they were all right.
Wagyu.
and I'm wondering what happened to Jimmy Butler. Did somebody kidnap Jimmy Butler and they got an imposter in there? Is that what's going on?
Look, buddy, just stick with Sean as your man. You know, you can depend on Sean on a daily basis. You can't depend on Jimmy Butler every day. So
I know we're going to talk about this. I know we're going to be back here tomorrow morning to talk this game to tomorrow, but man, it's disgraceful. The last two outings there from Miami. Unbelievable.
Yeah. No shock to me, but then again, I've been on the other side of those picks too as well. So I'm not going to rub it in, but Jesse, I'm at a loss for words. Well, how do I go here?
I got some thinking to do. I got to tell you, I'm not going to tell you what I think about tomorrow's game because I still got to figure out what I think about tomorrow's game. So I'll get back to you on that, Ross and Sean.
It totally changes the aspect of when you're up 3-0, when you get destroyed by like double digits in two straight games, and you look like the team with a bad head coach. So it totally changes my thinking in that game. I mean, honestly, I think the Celtics are winning the series now. So, but that's tomorrow. We can't give it away.
We are going to be talking tomorrow morning. We're going to be talking game 6. Wow, of the NBA Eastern Conference Finals. Who thought we'd be talking about game 6 after the series was 3-0, but we are. And that game will be played in Miami. And without talking too much about that matchup, because we'll talk about it plenty in the morning, to me, the pressure's on Miami. I mean, you've now lost 2 games in a row, and you're facing the prospect of if you don't come through in game 6 at home, you have to go back to Boston for game 7. So we'll see. Any other comments before we move on, guys? I don't want to steal any thunder from you. If you have anything you want to add in terms of that matchup, or you want to wait till tomorrow morning, that's fine as well, too. Guys all set with that?
Yeah,
I need time to collect my thoughts, Ross. I need some time.
Sure, no problem. All right, so let's get into Major League Baseball, and we have 3 games for you today. And I'm going to be covering the Philadelphia and Atlanta game being played in Atlanta. And then Jesse's going to take a look at a real good interleague matchup between the LA Dodgers and the Tampa Bay Rays, Tropicana Field tonight in St. Petersburg, 6:40 Eastern. And then Sean's going to be looking at a team that's been arguably the biggest surprise in all of Major League Baseball, and I say that from a positive standpoint, the Texas Rangers with John Gray on the mound, as they'll take on the Baltimore Orioles, and Rodriguez will be on the mound for the Baltimore Orioles, 7:05 p.m. Eastern time from Camden Yards in Baltimore. All right, where do we start here? Let's start with you, Jesse. Okay, this is an intriguing matchup. 2 real good ball clubs in the Dodgers in Tampa Bay. But here's the thing. I'm looking at Tampa Bay right now, minus 120 money line favored, and the total is 9. The thing that bothers me about both of these teams, as good as they are, is their bullpens haven't been dominant, but they've been getting away with it because they've been getting solid starting pitching and also hitting the living daylights out of the ball, both teams. Jesse, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing what you're seeing, Ross. I wanted to come on here and tell you Tampa was in great shape with their bullpen. But when I did some digging, I thought, I guess I don't even want to talk about Tampa's bullpen because I'm betting on Tampa.
Yeah.
They're 24-5 at home at 120. I'm taking that home team. They got Jalen Beeks going to be the opener. I guess the Tampa, the originators of using an opening pitcher. He usually goes an inning or two only, but he does pretty well. In his last 8 appearances, 6 of those appearances were scoreless. In 2 appearances, he allowed just 1 run. So, I mean, no more than 1 run in each of his last 8 appearances. I expect him to, start off the game well. And as much as their bullpen doesn't look dominant, you don't go 24-5 at home unless some of those guys are performing well, at least at home. So, Tampa is first in the majors in scoring, second in team batting average, first in on-base percentage, and they're facing a veteran in Syndergaard that isn't what he used to be. 1-3 with a 5.88 ERA, 1.33 WHIP. He's been fortunate to get run support in a lot of his starts, but he's consistently giving up runs, giving up hits, walking batters. I'm going to have to go with Tampa Bay here. Like I said, that record and that price has me going with the home team.
I can't blame you, buddy. Tampa Bay minus 120 over the Dodgers. Jesse makes all good points in terms of why he likes Tampa Bay over the Dodgers in this spot. And yes, Noah Syndergaard is no longer Thor. So, Sean, what's your take on what Jesse had to say?
I mean, I'd say he's like Thor when he gets fat in that one Marvel where he's like Fat Thor drinking beer all the time, but he's still kind of yoked out. But he's not even yoked. I mean, this guy's been good in 6 years. It's Tampa. Now, I didn't bet Tampa today. I had Tampa. Yes, the bullpen game, I like the over here, believe it or not. I think it's a 9. Because Syndergaard, no thank you. Tampa's going to score 5+ against him, right? Look at the Tampa team total over. I'm going to have a bunch of ribby props on this. At home, I think Jesse ran down just to how their offense is overall in the season. I think at home, they're the best team by far at home. I mean, they're just crushing it. And you hear like, oh, they're stealing signs. I don't know, whatever they're doing, they're raking at the plate at home. Doesn't matter who they're facing. And you got a bad guy, Syndergaard, to tail into his career. Give me a over to the 9, and I'll do a team total over Tampa too. Probably 4.5. Can't be too much.
I'd have to look on that, but
yeah, I don't know. You know what?
Since they're the favorite, it might be 5, Sean. You know what I mean?
Could be.
Yeah. So
you know what? I'm on a site right now because I was looking
at
what do we got.
Yeah, I agree. I'm leaning toward the over in this matchup, and let's call it an 8-6 Tampa Bay win, and everybody's happy for once. Jesse, none of this.
I could use a favorable result. I'm not going to lie to you, Ross.
They have here. I don't want to throw out a name of us. I don't know if we could send out the names of.
As long as it's American Sportsbook.
It's BetMGM. They got a 4.5 at -110.
4.5 and -110. So Tampa Bay over 4.5. Sean was right. I thought it would have been 5 because they're a slight favorite, but I can't argue with that either. When you look at
you could do a 5.5. It's +150. I think you're safe at a 150 and even a 6.5 at 240.
Yeah,
I think they're going to score runs against them.
Yeah, I think.
And I don't know who mentioned the other day I was doing Dodgers Braves, and I think you brought up just the bullpens of that game and the other game.
Yep.
The bullpens have been bad. It was the Cubs Mets. Those 4 bullpens, they've been bad the last week. And here we go. Now we got the Dodgers versus a hot hitting team, or a very not hot hitting, but they've been hitting well for 2 months now.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, the thing that I would emphasize a lot, I just went through this with a good friend of mine yesterday who inquired about some help, and you can't look. I mean, the old days, the old way of thinking, you looked at the bullpen's ERA for the season. The old days, you were always counting on a starting pitcher if you like that starting pitcher to get to the 6th, 7th inning with regularity. That's no longer the case. And what I would say is don't be deceived by a team's bullpen over the course of the season. Be more focused on how that bullpen is pitching lately. Like the last 7 games, for example, is a good sample size. The last 10 games. And that will be a better indicator on when you're handicapping the game. Because, folks, Jesse, you could elaborate further on this. more so than ever, you have to account for the bullpens when handicapping Major League Baseball these days. And if you're going to do that, do it right, fine tune it. Not only look at what they're doing for the season, but how they've done in recent games, or even their home and away splits. You know, I mean, if you look at, and I'm going to touch upon that in the Philadelphia-Atlanta game, but Jesse, what your thoughts on accounting for the bullpen and how you may approach that?
Well, like I said, Ross, that goes exactly into what I said when I said Tampa's bullpen doesn't rate that well on the season with season-long ERA. But you know, you look at their home record, and I didn't actually dig any deeper because I can just tell you right now, you don't go 24-5 at home unless your bullpen's getting the job done, and that's where that landed me. So I agree with everything you're saying about checking out, getting deeper into the splits, checking out the long-term, short-term, and mid-term trends as well.
Yeah, I mean, the old saying is a 2-minute handicap, and that's what a lot of people do. You know, they don't have the time to dig into stuff the way we do because we do this for a living and we don't have another job. So this is what our livelihood depends on. And as a result, you try to do the best job possible or you don't last long. And the best job possible is not 2-minute handicaps every day.
I will add that I treat starting pitchers the same as, you know, a guy might have a monstrous ERA on the year, but he's coming around. And one guy,
absolutely,
as an example, Patrick Corbin. Some of the guys at Picks and Parlays were celebrating it like a holiday every time he pitched because they wanted to bet against him. They called it Patrick Corbin Day. Well, at the beginning of the year, it held true, but you know, he's turned things around. He's been pretty dependable for Washington lately. He's gone from a fade to a guy that you might want to back as an underdog, and that's a prime example of looking at the recent trends for starting pitchers as well as bullpens.
Absolutely, 100% on board with that as well, Jesse. Brilliant minds think alike. We may not agree, and I'm not just talking about Jesse, all of us. We may not agree on picks all the time. We may not agree on 100% of the other guy's philosophy, but there are some common threads that you could take away where you'll hear a common practice that we look at daily. For example, what Jesse just alluded to, we all just don't look at what the starting pitcher has done for the year, but how he's done recently, because sometimes an ERA, especially an ERA, can be very deceiving.
Yep.
And guys get off the bad starts. You know, I used to get this little book that a guy used to put out, and he'd have everybody's team records, meaning the starting pitchers, by each individual month, in day and night games. And those are the types of things you have to look at. But one thing that I did not account for in the old days as much was the bullpen. And now you have to account for it. And I know one thing, the guys what'd you say, Picks and Parlays call it Pat Corbin Day? I know one thing, anytime it's time to make a pick and it comes to Sean Higgs, it's Sean Higgs Day. So on Sean Higgs Day, Sean Higgs is going to give us a pick.
I want to talk about Corbin, though. Like, as bad as he was the last couple of years, I was like, wow, you got to fade this guy. Opening day, 2 earned runs. He got beat up in his second start versus Tampa 6, but 4-2, 3-3, 2-2, 2-2. You're going to ask any starter, I don't care, it's Patrick Corbin, it could be some rookie. You're going to give up 3 runs, even 4 runs. Now, let's be honest, 4 runs today is not too bad. In what? That's what? 8 starts in 8 of, and actually his first start, he gave up 4 runs, 2 earned. So in 9 of his 10 starts, he's given up 4 or less runs.
Yeah.
And really 2 or less in 8 of them. I mean,
I still remember when he was the ace for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and people were talking, you know, they were hopeful he could win a Cy Young for them. You know, so the guy's been around the block. He's been a good pitcher.
And that's a scrappy little team over there, man. It's like well, that's another. We'll talk about Mike. I got Texas and the O's here today, but we could talk about scrappy pitchers and bullpens. And I want, you know, before I move on to that, my little rant, because, you know, Ross, I'm going to go on.
That's okay.
Like the bullpen days, like, remember you talk about bullpens, you kind of knew a team had just kind of like 3 bullpen guys, because you just have, the starter would go 6+, you'd have that guy, like your 7th inning guy, your 8th inning guy, or, you know, go back to like the Nasty Boys and the Reds back in the early 90s, late 80s. Now, forget about it. It's like 5 innings. Here comes a guy. You know, the 100 pitch count. Oh, let's go 5th inning. Bullpen comes in. Ridiculous. And then you get skewed ERAs because the guy comes in and he's a mop up kind of guy, and he's the guy who gets shelled. Like I was looking at some of the Tampa Bay guys. You got like half their guys have 7 ERAs, but they pitch like 4 innings and give up 3 runs. It looks bad. You can't look at it that way. Like you got it. How are they pitching today? How are they pitching now? Are they in a groove? But I digress. My bullpen rants. Let's go for Texas. So looking at this matchup here, I got to say, I got a team total, and I'm going to throw an RBI prop out here with you, with the Rangers. Because Grayson Rodriguez, as much as he's a young stud for them, top prospect, the guy's like a 6-something ERA on the season. It's not been good. It's not been sharp, which I don't mind. He's a 23-year-old. Good. Throw him to the Wolves. You can't baby these guys. They're going to take their lumps. They're going to have a good start. They're going to have a bad start. Well, he's got 2 good starts. 2 5-inning performances against the Dodgers or against the Tigers. 0 runs allowed. You take that out, and his ERA balloons to like an 8.30 from a 6-something. The Rangers could hit. They're in first place. You talked about them being a surprise. We could also say the Orioles are a little surprise. You know, last year nobody saw them coming. You're like, wow, the Orioles, but they've maintained it, and it's not like they're doing it with pitchers that have like a Minnesota Twins where you got Sonny Gray and Ober and John Ryan with like sub 2 ERAs. Their ERAs are all in the 4s. They're just kind of chugging along. But a 3.5 team total here with Grayson Rodriguez, who's given up 29 earned runs in 31 innings or 32 innings. Again, I'm taking out that Tiger 10 innings. Even if we throw it in there, he's still got a 29 and 42 is still a lot of runs. You know, that's a lot of runs to give up. You're coming off a Yankee series on the road, a Blue Jay series on the road, a series they could even, 2 of them, they could have went undefeated. They blew a game late, but they also stole a game late. But it's still, you're coming off the Yankees. You're feeling pretty good about themselves, taking 2 out of 3 from them. I look at it as a flat spot, and I got a gas can on the hill. So over 3.5, it's -110. You can go over a 4.5 is a +125. I mentioned a plus money.
Yeah, I think it's. Are you sure? I thought you said 4.5, Sean.
Yeah, 4.5 +125.
All right. You're going over on the Rangers.
Rangers team total, yeah. Grayson Rodriguez will give up runs here. And again, I'll have some RBI props. I got one here for you. Jace Young, the rookie here, RBI a +185. So +185, and the team total over 4.5 runs is a +125. I'm sorry, the 3.5 was -130. So the +4.5, we're gonna go plus money on the 4.5 +125.
So we're taking the Rangers over the 4.5 runs at money line odds of +125. Jesse likes the Tampa Bay Rays -120 over the LA Dodgers. Jesse, any thoughts on what Sean had to say on that matchup between the Rangers and the Orioles?
Well, since Jimmy Butler let me down, I know my man Sean will never let me down, and I'm on board with him. He didn't mention John Gray's home away splits. Gray is 3-0 with a 2.20 ERA and 5 road starts. He has faced Baltimore this season in his season debut. He went 6 1/3 innings, allowed 2 runs on 4 hits, struck out 7 in a no decision. The Rangers lost that game 2-0. He's probably going to get better run support today, as Sean alluded to, and I will take Texas +1.5 runs, -145, and I would call it my Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because that's what I call games involving teams from Texas. Are you guys laughing at me?
No, we're laughing.
Sean, he's laughing at me.
We're laughing with you, Jess.
But see, that works for the Rangers, but that doesn't really work for the Astros because they're in Houston.
Oh, no, I use it for the Rangers, the Astros, the Dallas Stars, the Houston Rockets, any
Bryce
Texas,
Owls.
any Texas team. And well, I mean, if you're looking at a list of a bunch of handicappers plays, and they're like, I got my best bet, my early bet, and then you got Schul's Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well,
like,
who would you buy from? Who would you buy from?
Better?
Yeah, exactly. So we're not.
Do you guys? I'm gonna get off a little topic. Do you guys know Joe Gaffney? Do you remember Joe Gaffney back in the day?
No.
Anybody know Joe? He won the super contest with early 2000s. He used to sell picks. He called them 1-shot, 1-kill picks, like sniper plays or something. It was like during the Gulf War. Like they said, you can't use that. It's offensive to people.
Yeah. Yeah, the killer stuff I try to stay away from. I used to use the killer stuff in my titles for the name of the play. But with all this shit going on in the United States now, with all the guns, these shootings and everything, and excuse my language, folks, it just pisses me off. I don't use that anymore. Anyway, okay, so yeah, I would have a small lean on the Rangers. And I'm going to go on the money line with the Rangers at plus 115. And Jesse likes the plus 1.5 and minus 145. And more importantly, Sean likes the Rangers over 4.5 runs and on their team total. And at odds of plus 125. So like all of those picks. And let's get to my game because we're running short on time. Philadelphia and Atlanta. It'll be Taijuan Walker for the Philadelphia Phillies. It will be your Atlanta will have Jared Schuster on the mound, 7:20 p.m. Eastern time. Right now, the Atlanta Braves, a 150 money line favorite. The total in this game is 10, and that's what I'm going to concentrate on, the total. Why? Because Taijuan Walker, 6 road starts this year, a 7.43 ERA, a 165 whip. The Philadelphia bullpen on the road, a 5.88 ERA, a 157 whip. And those of you who have followed baseball, and our avid fans of baseball know the Philadelphia Phillies bullpen has been a work in progress for a long time now, and they have their ups and downs, but more downs than ups. And that's an ongoing problem for the Philadelphia Phillies is their bullpen. The Phillies have also played 5-0-1 to the over in their last 6 away games when the total is between 8 and 10.5, which it falls in that category tonight. Jared Schuster of the Braves, last 3, 5.49 ERA, not very good. Atlanta bullpen at home, 4.89 ERA, not very good. Atlanta 11-3 in division games and averaging 6.6 runs per game and hit 31 home runs in those 14 games. They're 25-10 to the over at night, and they're 11-3 to the over as a home favorite of minus 150 or greater, which that now barely qualifies, but it does qualify for this evening. Philadelphia, Atlanta over 10. Sean.
How do you, you got Schuster, who I don't really love. I got 2 lineups that, again, Philly lost Hoskins, but Harper's back, Realmuto, Trey Turner. I like Baum. And the Atlanta. Overs. It's 10. It was 9.5 last night, so it's gone up. So good sign. I'm with you on the over.
Jesse, is Philadelphia a team that has started slow and a team you see coming on in the second half, or just your general opinion on my pick or any other opinion you may have?
This comes back to what we were talking about with starting pitchers, Ross, and Walker having, not great numbers. But, when I looked at Walker, I saw his last start, 5 1/3 scoreless, gave up just 2 hits against the Cubs in a 2-1 win. And Philadelphia's won 3 of his last 4 starts. They haven't all been gems, but there's a couple good ones in the mix there. So I felt comfortable taking the Phillies on the run line. I believe, I'm not 100% familiar with this. Sean might know better, but Atlanta as a run line favorite at home, I think has been, the worst bet in town. So, it's a little expensive to take the Phillies plus the runs, but I think it's a high percentage play.
Makes sense because if you look at the Atlanta Braves home and away splits, they're tremendous on the road, but they're a 500 ball club at home. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but I think I'm recollecting correctly.
They were their run line at one point. They were like winless at home on a run line. They were like 0-11 to start. They were run line Braves just not getting it done at home.
Yeah, exactly. The road's been a different story, which is a weird dichotomy. Also, I could tell you folks with a dichotomy like that and a team as good as Atlanta, they're going to come on eventually at home. They will, because they're too good a ball club. They're too good a hitting ball club, and that's a hitter's ballpark, by all accounts. All right, so there you go. We have Philadelphia and Atlanta over 10 from Ross Benjamin. We have Tampa Bay minus 120 over the LA Dodgers from Jesse Shule. And we also have the Texas Rangers over their run total of 4.5 against the Baltimore Orioles. And that's what we have for today, Friday the 26th. Now, Jesse, tell the folks what you may have coming up for this Memorial Day weekend, and any hot streaks you'd like to talk about it late. I know you had a couple tough bad days, but overall you're still.
I don't feel like bragging today, Ross. I will say that one exciting tidbit is I got my first WNBA play of the season going tonight. And I was 11-3 with WNBA last year. I can probably only name half a dozen players in the WNBA. My knowledge of the WNBA is sparse, but somehow I managed to follow enough trends and do enough investigative work to come up with some winners. So we're hoping a prayer today with a WNBA play.
And like we always say, it's not about the players on both sides of the ball. It's about beating a number in our situation. So you can know all the names of every player in the league, folks. That doesn't make you a great handicapper. You can recite every statistic in the league. That doesn't make you a great handicapper. It may help you with props. It may help you with fantasy baseball, but it's not going to, it's again, folks, when it comes to just handicapping the games, it's a more expansive territory that we have to cover above and beyond who's on both sides of the ball. Sean, since it's Sean Higgs Day, you're going to tell everybody exactly how you feel. I think we lost Sean. Yes, we did. He froze with his eyes closed. Anyway,
I think he just bailed as soon as I mentioned the WNBA. He's out of here. He rolled his eyes and he's out of here.
Yeah. Anyway, you could find me at rbwins.com, R as in Ross, B as in Benjamin, wins.com. I'm not going to be as demonstrative as I was yesterday, but I am going to brag because you know why? I'm doing very, very good in the NBA playoffs. Had Boston last night, and not only on this channel, but also I gave them out as a premium pick on all the websites. So, and again, my NBA, the playoffs since the postseason began, on April 11th, and that entails the play-in tournament as well. 36-22. That's 62%. My sides, money line and point spread picks, since the NBA postseason began on April 11th, 31-14, folks. That's 69%. My NBA 10-star top plays, 32-16 with my last 48. Those are my highest rated picks. That's good for 67%. And that includes 6-2 during the NBA postseason. I don't know. We lost Sean, so I'm assuming he's not going to come back since we only have a couple minutes left. But remember, Jesse Shule at jesseshule.com, Sean Higgs at picksandparleys.net, and Ross Benjamin at rbwins.com. These free picks are nice, folks, but remember, tip your bartenders. Once in a while, invest into a subscription package from each one of us, and or buy a daily pick. Those are our best picks that we put out every day, and our track record speaks for itself. In any event, for Sean Higgs, Jesse Shule, and Ross Benjamin, we like to ask you, if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, take a second to do so. Costs you absolutely nothing. There's no strings attached. There's no hidden agenda. You're just privy to some of the best information in sports betting you're going to find anywhere on the web. And also, there's a like button at the bottom of the screen. It's just a small token of your appreciation. And when you see that like button, Jesse will tell you to
smash that like button.
Smash that like button, folks. So until the next time, for Jesse Shule, Sean Higgs, and Ross Benjamin, we'd like to wish each and every one of you all the very best. Have a great, safe, and fun Memorial Day weekend.